Do you catch yourself watching motivational YouTube videos and feel great afterwards? You can actually feel like your mindset has shifted. You're a dog. You can conquer anything. You have unshakable self-belief. And then you actually get to lock in. You're disciplined and you finally do the work that you've been avoiding for a day. Because the next day you wake up and you're lazy again. And when you are lazy, you end up avoiding the things that will get you your goals in life. So if that's you, if you're someone that is ambitious but lazy, you need to figure out how to become consistent. And in this video, I'm going to give you the 3 cheat codes that allows you to master consistency. This is going to be a highly logical and profound video, but I'm going to use some graphics to help you follow along. When you are lazy, you experience negative thoughts, right? You start feeling guilty. You start feeling disappointed. You feel unworthy. And when you have those negative thoughts, it can be so overwhelming that it paralyzes you. And then it makes it even harder to overcome your laziness. And when you are lazy, you get more negative thoughts. So you can see how this traps you into this toxic cycle. But this is you, right? You are Mr. or Mrs. Ambitious. You have big goals. But if you do not fix your laziness, you will never make progress. Now, if you want to combat laziness and make progress, you have to become consistent. So if you increase progress, it comes from an increase in consistency. So if we fix your consistency, we will allow you to finally make progress. So now let's look at consistency. How do you increase consistency? There are 2 ways to go about it. There's the old way and the new way. Let's talk about these. So the old way is basically through habits. How many times have you heard that before in the self-improvement world? If you want to be consistent, you need to have better habits. It's the foundation to sustainable routines. And it's so appealing because habits, they are automatic. They are simple yet efficient. And they are also effortless. Think about brushing your teeth. When you brush your teeth, it doesn't really require willpower or effort to do it. It's simply a habit. And that feels really awesome to think about having habits because it seems like the easiest way to go about it. But let's be for real. Let's be for real. How hard is it to actually instill new habits? How many years have you tried to have new habits and failed to succeed at doing so? So I say that we disregard the old way to increase consistency and we think about the new way to go about it. And this new way is through your mindset. Awesome. This is my branch. This will be so much easier for you to make progress because think about when you took action in the past. You took action because your mindset was in the right place. So if you can find a way to increase the consistency in that mindset, you will be able to make progress way easier and faster. The solution to increase progress is by being consistent in having a solid mindset. Okay? Now let's look at the word consistency. How do you increase consistency? That is the actual problem that we're trying to solve, right? So let's dive into this. To increase consistency, and this is so funny because this is literally how my mind works. This is how I think. It's to increase commitment. Naturally, there are 3 areas that you could be naturally committed to and consistent at. For example, your loved ones. It's easy for you to be consistent showing up in your romantic partnership, hopefully, your friendships, your family, because you have a strong emotional bond. You can show up for them. You can make the effort to see them. You can be consistent in your action towards loving them, communicating, being there for them. That is because you're naturally committed. Another example is basic self-care. So that goes into your personal hygiene, eating, sleeping. It is easy for you to be committed to doing those things and hence being consistent because it is a need. It is essential to your survival. And then finally, your school or your work. You could be naturally committed to that because you show up on time, you do the actual work, you're not late doing the things, you respect the people around you, you show up and follow through what you say. And the reason why you do that is because you don't want the negative consequence of not doing the work. So you can see you already are committed to things in your life that allows you to be consistent, that allows you to do the work, that you won't allow your laziness to come in the way to that. And what is important to realize is you do those things, you commit to your loved ones, you commit to your self-care, you commit to your school or your work because they are very important. You won't not show up to picking your friend up at the airport because you committed to that. It's important for you to be there. So they can count on you to be there. You won't skip sleep because you are committed to your health. You need that. You won't not show up to work because it is important that you show up. You don't want the consequence of not going. So see how you're naturally consistent in a certain behavior that aligns with what you want. Now let's talk about consistency in the mindset because that is something that it is not natural. So for the mindset, it is not natural. So it has to be a conscious decision. This is something that you're making right now, a commitment to your mindset. And what is actually the commitment to your mindset? It is commitment to reaching your potential. If you take some time, you'll realize that reaching your potential also is very important. Look at the 3 points here. Does it create an emotional bond? Yes. Because if you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the top is self-actualization, which is the same thing as reaching your potential. So in everyone, there is this inherent desire to reach your potential. There is some emotional bond here. Now, if you look at the second point, does it threaten your survival if you don't do it? Yes. It threatens your survival because if you don't do anything about it, your potential dies. It might not be a physical death, but it will be like a spiritual death. So that should feel very important. You don't want your potential to die. And I know that's true because you're ambitious. And when you're ambitious, you have bigger and better things for you. And then finally, is there a negative consequence if you don't do the work? Yes. It's a life full of regrets. If you know the reference, it's funny. So as you can see, committing to reaching your potential is very important for you, and you can achieve that by having the proper mindset. So now we can agree that you are committed to this. You want this. So that's good. We can check the box that you are committed. But the more committed that you are, the more consistent you will be. So how can you strengthen that commitment? And that is a bicep, okay? That really looks funny. And this is where I will give you the 3 cheat codes. Because when you apply these cheat codes, it directly increases the importance of having those mindsets. And they're cheat codes because they are highly effective productivity tips that helps you speed up your progress. And that's what you want, don't you? If you can get progress faster, you will make it more likely for you to stick to these mindsets. And the reason why I know about these cheat codes is because I looked at the success in my life and I realized in retrospect that I did these 3 things that really was the game changer for me. If you don't know me, my name is Bianca St. George, and I'm a professional soccer player. And to become a pro athlete, I did not have the money, the resources, or the support to really get to where I'm at. But what I did have was an unshakable mindset. My mindset was so powerful that nothing would stand in the way from me becoming the best soccer player I could be. And just from me having the proper mindset, it has always allowed me to level up to the point that I actually became a pro athlete, not because I wanted to become a pro. I just wanted to be the best me, and I had the proper mindset, and then things just happened naturally. But I am known in my world to have a great mindset. And once I was aware of that, I started to have more self-reflection and realized there's a lot of things that I have done to have these mindsets consistently. And now I'm applying what I know that worked in my sports and my other goals, because I view my sports career as a stepping stone to something bigger. This is not my peak. I'm a pro athlete right now, but this is just a chapter of my life. I have bigger things for myself. I have a bigger vision for myself, and I need to lock in for that. But I realize my mindset is everything, and I want to be consistent in my self-belief that I can achieve that big vision of mine. So I do these 3 things that allows me to stay consistent, allows me to see progress, and I'm here to teach you the same thing. Because when I give you value, that makes me feel like I reach my potential. So I'm not hiding anything from you. If anything, I want to give you all my secrets. And because mindset shift is such a powerful topic, I couldn't just do one video about it. That's why this is a 3-part series. And by the way, this is part 3. My previous 2 videos was part 1 and part 2. Part 1 was education. Part 2 was application. And this is part 3 about dedication. Part 1, education, was all about educating you about what these mindset shifts are. I gave you the knowledge to logically and conceptually understand what these mindsets are, because you cannot change your mindset if you don't even know what you're starting with. So it was all about becoming more knowledgeable. And people really resonated with that video because my retention for that video was extremely high. It was packed with information, and I know it changes people's perspectives. And that's what I want to give you like those aha moments, to have things that click for you and unlock things for you. I want to help you reprogram your brain, and it starts by education. And then part 2, my last video, was about applications. What are practical steps that you can do to actually embody and reinforce those mindsets? It was posted today. I don't know how it's doing, but I know that people love to know what to do. But this is part 3, dedication. And it's the same thing as commitment. It's just that commitment didn't rhyme, but it's a synonym of dedication. You need to dedicate yourself to those mindsets. You can't have those mindsets one day and then the other not have those mindsets, because that doesn't allow you to be consistent. But once you are committed, you allow yourself to be consistent. And that's where you see real progress. That's how you see your life change. Now let me uncover the 3 cheat codes that allows you to make faster and easier progress towards your goals. Now, if you watch my part 1 or part 2, you know what these mindset shifts are. But I'm not going to go into details, but obviously I'm going to keep talking about those. The first one was going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. The second mindset was to go from a victim mentality to ownership. And then the third one was going from perfectionism to progress. Each one of them has a cheat code. So let's look at the fixed mindset. If you really want to understand that properly, just watch part 1. But let me just give you a brief overview. A fixed mindset is basically the belief that your talents, your abilities, your potential is fixed. It's something that you're born with. It's innate, and that you cannot change. But you want to have a growth mindset, having the belief that you can be anything that you put your mind to, because that's the truth. Whatever you want to become, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to learn, you can. You have to have that belief though. That comes from you. But if you want to reinforce that belief, that self-belief that you can achieve anything, and not let those negative thoughts come and tell you that you're not good enough for this, you're not meant for this, or you're not worthy of this. If you don't want to have that, you need to apply this cheat code. Journal every day. You got to journal. Journaling has been the most powerful thing that I've done in my life, and I didn't even realize how much I've done it until I started reflecting on that. I've been journaling since I'm in 5th grade. And unfortunately, I did not keep this video on my YouTube channel because that was like my old type of videos. I was more of a vlogger before, and I did a whole YouTube video about me rereading my journals from 5th and 6th grade. And I would journal every night. It's hilarious. But anyways, you wouldn't really want to watch it because it was in French. I speak French, by the way. That's my first language. So you wouldn't even be able to understand it, but I've been journaling my whole life. And being able to journal has allowed me to self-reflect to the point that I was able to detach myself from my negative thoughts. It allowed me to separate myself from my problems and realize that I can grow and learn from anything that happens to me because those are not me. And it's funny because when I think about me in 5th grade, my problems were not really problems, right? You're so young. But still, it kind of fostered this really good habit in me to take the time to pause and reflect. So yeah, and when you can pause and reflect, it practices delaying gratification. Because when you pause and reflect, you give yourself the space to make better decisions. Make decisions that supports future you. Instead of completely reacting and feeling terrible and feel like there's nothing you can do about it, you journal and you can see in front of you what you have to deal with instead of letting it overwhelm you in your mind. And then finally, it allows you to constantly keep the end in mind, because this is a habit from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's in the book. That's something that stuck to me when I read it in the first time in 2019. When you keep the end in mind, it allows you to make the sacrifices now to support your goals. So when I journal, it's like it reminds me every single day of what I'm working towards. And it keeps that emotional attachment that I'm looking for, that keeps it alive, that keeps this desire alive. So remember earlier, I said that if you make it more important, it's easier to commit to it and it's easier to be consistent. Realize that when you journal, you increase that emotional bond, which makes you increase the bond with future you. I feel so connected to future me because it's like I talk to her every single day. When I journal, and I journal a lot, like, look at this. These are simply like papers of notes that I take all the time. I keep that here. I have my business journal here. My daily journal is this one. This is where I like keep track of everything. That's like my planner. This is how I get my shit together. This is how I stay disciplined. This is how I always do the hard work now, because future me is going to be in a better place. It's so true. So as much as you feel like it's painful to journal, you just got to get into the habit of journaling. Sometimes people have a hard time journaling because they don't know what to write about. But trust me, it's when you don't know what to write about that the best things come out when you do journal. When you try to make it so mechanical or make it so hard for you to do it, it's like you're doing something that's not authentic. It's kind of like when you meditate. When you first sit down to meditate, you have all of your superficial thoughts that come to your mind. You don't totally tap into like a Zen state. You have all these like lizard brain thoughts that come and pollute your mind. But if you just sit through it long enough, you kind of like learn how to quiet those or disregard those, and you enter a deeper state of meditation that allows you to connect to like more core insights, deeper insights. The same thing happens with journaling. When you first start to write in your journal, you kind of like feel like it's hard, but the more you do it, the more you kind of go to the root of what's on your mind, what's something that has been holding you back, what's something that you can do. If you constantly find a way to document your life, you will keep your goals at the forefront and you will find a way to always make those come true. And that supports that growth mindset. Now, the second thing that you need to do, it's to go from a victim mentality to an ownership mentality. Now, how can you strengthen that commitment to an ownership mentality instead of having a victim mentality? If you remember, a victim mentality is blaming others for your shortcomings, for your failures, for bad luck in your life. But when you do that, you give all of your power away. Instead, you want to have a full ownership mentality, a mentality that you are responsible for your life, the good and the bad. And that is true because you are not entitled to take all the credits for things that are going well in your life. And then when things are not going well, be like, oh, that's not my fault. You cannot pick and choose what's your fault and not your fault because you're not entitled to say like the success is because of me, but the failures are not. That is something that you need to realize. That is something that you need to let your ego understand. But it's okay. When you fully take responsibility of your life, it actually creates way more peace and allows you to be more of a problem solver and have authority over your life's direction. So what is the cheat code to fully own your life? The cheat code is something that you don't want to hear, but I have to say it because it is so powerful. It's to have no social media. Stop consuming social media, or at least limit your social media to the bare minimum. Because I'm not going to lie here and say I have no social media. I have one social media and it's Instagram. And obviously I have YouTube, but I'll explain that after. I have one social media that I consume and it's Instagram, and I have a limit of 15 minutes per day. And when I go on there, I respond to DMs, I post on stories, and I catch up on my job, like what's going on in the NWSL. That's it. I have 15 minutes and that's all I allow myself. Because when you don't limit yourself or when you consume social media to no end, you give all your power away. You literally start numbing your desires because it completely depletes your dopamine. That is the worst thing you can do for yourself. That is what creates your laziness because you give a false impression in your mind that when you want something, you should get it. When you turn on your phone and you go on social media and you get instant dopamine, instant reward, scrolling through TikTok, you give your brain the impression that when you want something, it should be easy. And when you start working on your goals, it feels hard and you're like, oh, that's probably not meant for me because it feels too hard. It should feel easy. But if you remove yourself from social media, you realize that that was what was blocking you this whole time to do the work anyways. It was literally tricking you and keeping you average. If you keep consuming social media, you literally become a puppet. You become a product to other people's desires. So when you're on social media, you start being influenced by what other people want, which makes you believe that you want certain things, but it's not really authentic, and you're never going to do the work for something that is not authentic to you. And just realize when you consume social media, you make their dreams happen while neglecting your own. So if anything, if you can't get rid of social media fully, you have to become a producer. This is what I'm saying right now. Like, obviously, I use YouTube, but I produce on YouTube. I am an actual producer. I am making my dreams happen by producing content. I'm on the other side of the coin. If you are to consume media, it has to be long-form educational types, podcasts, videos like mine where it's educational and not like this dopamine, highly distracting with tons of animation. It could also be audiobooks. As long as it's long form and educational, that is acceptable. But don't fry your brain with instant dopamine. That's literally what's making you feel like you have no authority over your life. When you have the courage to be like, I'm not consuming social media anymore, it gives you so much power because you're not letting yourself be controlled by other people, controlled by people that create those social media for you to be addicted. You don't realize the power that you take back by not consuming social media. And most people won't follow this advice, but that's why most people are average. And if you want to be different, you have to follow my advice here. And you'll realize when you remove yourself from social media, you stop comparing yourself to others, which improves your mental health. So that will help you combat laziness, because a lot of your laziness comes from your negative self-talk. But when have you consumed social media for a long time and have felt good afterwards? It has always made you feel worse. Realize that. You need to make that sacrifice so it increases your chances of survival. And what I mean by that is, remember, I said when things are more important, you're more committed. And earlier, I said that your basic self-care was important to you because it helps you survive. It's a need. It's the same thing here. If you remove yourself from social media, it increases your chances of survival, meaning your chances of not letting your potential die. If you keep staying in the track of being a consumer, your potential will die and you won't achieve what you want to achieve. It's that simple. So remove yourself from social media. And then finally, if you want to have the mentality where you don't let perfectionism ruin your progress, this is the last cheat code that you need to be aware of. And you have to understand that maybe you don't view yourself as a perfectionist, but a lot of people have perfectionism in disguise, and it usually hides as procrastination. So if you find yourself avoiding the work and procrastinating, it's because you're probably a perfectionist. You're not doing the work because you feel like if you do it, it won't be perfect. You won't feel perfect doing it. You won't produce perfect result. So then you avoid doing it altogether, and then that allows you to not make any progress at all. But the thing with procrastination, if you want to overcome procrastination, the thing that you gotta do is to do the exact thing that you're procrastinating on. There's no way that you can avoid procrastination by not avoiding procrastination. So this begs the question, how can you get yourself to do the thing that you need to do? And this is the cheat code. You need to do time blocks. So what time blocks are is looking at your schedule and blocking time specific to you working on your goals. Specifically doing the things that you're avoiding to do, the big things, the things that will give you the most result and the most progress in life. And what I want you to think about is, first think about the 80-20 rule. So that means that 20% of what you do drives 80% of the results. When you look at your schedule, out of 24 hours, let's say you sleep about 8 hours, so you have 16 waking hours a day. Out of 16 waking hours, 20% of that is about 3 hours. So give yourself 60 minutes to 3 hours a day where you dedicate completely to doing the biggest task that will give you the biggest results. For example, let's say you want to build a YouTube channel. For 1 to 3 hours a day, it would be dedicated to either scripting or filming, because that's what drives the most results. It's not the thumbnail design. It's not the reaching out to people or finding the good description or whatever. It's literally just doing the scripting or the filming. That's what produces the most results. And you just put that in your schedule. Think about when you have a nail appointment. Or say nail appointment because that's so me, or a dentist appointment, or you have to show up to a meeting. When you put that on your schedule, you actually show up and do it because it's important for you. So if you want your goals to be important for you, you have to put it in your schedule. And you don't have to do it all day. You literally only have to do it 1 to 3 hours per day and focus on the biggest tasks and really simplify it. Because if you think about the compound effect, just trust that with time, you will make so much progress, okay? So think about the compound effect. If you were to be given $1 million today, or a penny that would double in value for 30 days, what would you pick? Most people that won't think this through will say, oh, I want $1 million right now. But if you do the math, a penny that doubles every single day, so the first day it's a penny, then it's 2 cents, then 4, then 8. At day 27, it will have been over $1 million. And by day 30, it will be over $10 million. And that's literally by just trusting that the simple thing that you do every single day will be an exponential growth. At first, you won't really see that much progress, but over a certain amount of time, your growth will be huge. Your progress will be huge. You have to trust that. But it starts by feeling the pain of not seeing progress that much at first, but you just have to trust that it will come to fruition. And think about it. All the great people have gone through a phase where they don't see progress, but have stuck in long enough to it to see the results. And most people won't do it. So if you just stick through it, you will beat 99% of people. And when you start seeing progress, this is awesome because it acts as a positive feedback loop. And then you start reinforcing that what you do matters, that you can make progress, and it helps with all the other mindset as well. So you just have to trust that what you do matters. You don't have to do that much. You don't have to do that many different things, but you have to set some time in your schedule to do the work. And finally, like I said, it is very important because what does it do? It avoids the negative consequence of not doing the work. Just like school or just like your work, it forces you to do the thing because you have it in your schedule. You have it as a commitment that you have to do. So just treat that as an appointment, like you need to show up. You can't be on your phone. You can't be distracted. You have to do the work. And progress will be inevitable. So those were the 3 cheat codes: journaling, no social media, and time blocks. And if you follow those and you commit to those, you will increase having powerful mindsets that are focused on growth, ownership, and progress. And when you are consistent with those mindsets, you will stop being lazy and actually see your life change. So this is what I'm asking for you right now. What I'm asking from you is you've made it this far in this video. And you made it this far because you actually resonate with what I say. But this is not enough. You actually have to apply what I told you. This only works if you do the work. And even though you're hearing this right now, most people will still not do it. So imagine if you actually do it, you will beat 99% of people. Just lock in, just journal, don't go on social media, and set some time blocks to actually work on what you care about. I need you to do this because once you're someone that is on self-improvement and is closer to reach your potential, you start taking yourself seriously and you start leading your own life. And when you lead your life, you become a role model to other people. You inspire others to also reach their potential. And that way, we make the world a better place because right now there are people in power that are not good people. They're not people that care about their self-development and how they positively impact others. But me and you care about that. But we can only change the world if me and you change individually as people. So you have a personal responsibility to change yourself, and that's how we change the world. It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with us. And if you want to be a part of a community that supports that, you can go into my private community, which is the first link in my description, where we have the support of like-minded individuals. It's so much easier to go to places when you don't feel alone going there. So if you listen until the end, I want you to put the gorilla emoji in the comments because that tells me that you are built different. And I want you to get to work so then you can start actually seeing a change in your life and then inspire others to do the same. You can also sign up for my newsletter for some exclusive content and make sure you stick around because my next video will be the announcement of my February challenge. I'll see you very, very soon. I love you so much. Mwah.